going to take you through some of the details, and then we'll hopefully leave a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. There's a timer going there, and then I got to run out of here real quick to go talk to a bunch of customers. So we'll get started. All right, as Rowan and Jonathan and the team showed all of you this morning how work is evolving, how work is changing. Excuse me. Our customer base and what we see is we see people in these three bubbles. Either they're a traditional worker executing tasks, desktop phones, maybe desktop video device, and they're working in a traditional way. We've got mobile-driven workforces, sales-centric people that are leveraging the power of mobility. And you see, or the last bullet or bubble you see there, agile workers, people that are working in open offices, highly adaptive, they're changing all the time, they work in scrums, they have small teams, big teams, they blow those things up all the time. But the common element between all three of these has been, I think will continue to be voice. Voice is how work gets done. Right? The stats here, 71% of workers, knowledge workers still use phones. The stats are not fake. This is what we pull from our communication manager and all of our services. 65% still prefer to take business calls from a desktop phone, and then 91% of people agree that phones still remain an important way of communication. So obviously we spent 1.9 billion on that, some of these numbers here. But things are transitioning, right? The transition to cloud is underway, and not just for voice, but for all industries. Some faster, some slower, some segments, some geographies, quicker, slower. It's ever evolving. And why, right? Someone once told me you centralize complexity and you distribute simplicity. And I think that holds true with what we're trying to do with Cisco also. Now, I think Cisco's in a really good position to take advantage of that. With the acquisition of BroadSoft and the assets Cisco had before with HCS, we are the clear market leader here. We are really going to drive a lot of change and innovation in the industry, and we're going to do what we do best, let everybody else follow. But these transitions take time, right? They're not overnight, they're not light switches. It's not like getting out of a gas car and hopping into an electric one. It's going to be a journey. 42% of enterprises are still running circuit-based TDM networks. I mean, haven't we been doing this IP thing for a while? We think that people would have transitioned by now, but the reality is no. Assets need sweated. People are afraid to make transitions. Anyway, the other bullet, or the other circle I have here is this represents what enterprises need to make this transition. These are the things that they're going to need to finish. So it's not just about delivering voice technologies, PBX. It's about the video conferencing segment, and more often than not, it's about taking advantage of the mobility. I think we, at Cisco, with the combination of BroadSoft, we now check all of these boxes for the cloud. But our customers are on a journey. Your customers are on a journey. They're either on-prem, or they've gone full cloud, or they're somewhere in between. Most likely, they're more on this end and moving in that direction. Right? And Cisco is in a really unique position to help them on this journey, this transition zone from the on-prem to the cloud. You've seen us talk about many times our award-winning communication manager platform that scales from 2 phones to millions of phones, whether you're a small, medium business or a large business. There's all kinds of different deployment models, whether it's on-prem or cloud or somewhere in the middle, whether it's a small office, whether it's a medium-sized business inside of a city, or a multinational global company deployed all around the world. Cisco has a really good set of products that are tightly integrated that can deliver what they're looking for. And then lastly, you saw today all the investments we're making in the WebEx brand. All of what we're doing, all of what Mike and I are doing are in an effort to support where we're going with the WebEx offer. WebEx meetings, WebEx Teams, and the BroadSoft Cisco calling offers are really going to make a super strong offer to the customer. And I think almost lastly, you've seen Rowan loves hardware, so I couldn't get away without throwing some hardware up on stage. We make fantastic hardware. This is by far, it's kind of a choose your own adventure, whether you want a large room system, small room system. We make headsets now, and we're just tipping our toe in there. Better together story for our customers and our service provider partners. They're really starting to find a lot of value in a one-stop shop. We got it covered, and these are all, again, whether it's on-prem or cloud connected. Lastly, because we're all going to get to know each other a lot over the next couple of years, I wanted to introduce who my team is and that's working on this transition from the calling and care side. So first, I've got Prakash Selvaraj. He is going to be running the user experience team for all of our infrastructure software. So we brought in BroadSoft, we had Cisco, and I want to make sure that the user experience, Rowan is super focused on a fantastic user experience, make sure that's really simple. We want to give that same look and feel. So we'll be taking cues from the WebEx brand and the WebEx experience being pushed down in the admin console, deployment models, user pages, all of that's going to get pushed in. So he's in charge of that. Next, Vasily Trine, who probably some of you know from Serenova or Vonage. He is now the VP, as of 2.5 months ago, he's now the VP GM of my customer care, now transitioning to customer journey business unit. Third, I've got my on-prem calling and phone team, Fernando and Hakeem. We absolutely care about on-prem, and I think Mike and I will talk a little bit more about our roadmap here in a minute. And then last but not least, Mike Tesler, the former CEO of BroadSoft, 20 years total industry zealot around cloud calling. I mean, the man when it comes to the understanding of how the industry is moving. So super happy to have him on board. And I'll summarize with, oops, where'd my summary slide go, Mike? That's at the very end. I'm going to introduce Mike, who's going to take you through the details. Sorry, it's going to be a long day. Come on up, Mike. Thanks, bud.
Thank you, Tom. Good day, everybody. How's everybody doing? Yeah. Excellent. It's 2 months since joining Cisco. I'm still alive. It's been surprising. Integration's been successful. And, it's been great fun. And as Tom mentioned, I'm now responsible for kind of two angles of the business. One of them is the cloud calling portfolio, and also I continue to be responsible for the sales motion into the service providers, so the BroadSoft business sales motion. So I have two responsibilities. So in the short time that I've been part of Cisco, we try to really focus in the cloud calling area. It's been a little bit of time, but we try to get our priorities straight, and kind of came together with the team and kind of developed 4 key priorities. First of all is we need to build a portfolio that addresses the full set of end user segments. Clearly, Cisco has been very focused on the high end, BroadSoft through a lot of service providers at the low end. We're trying to cover really the full gamut from micro business to multinational companies. And the second point of that is really what we call a differentiated portfolio, is trying to get a little bit more sophisticated, very focused on which offers and how do we go to market through the various channels. Obviously, we have the BroadSoft business, which has been almost exclusively service provider channel oriented, and then Cisco, which has been focused on service provider, but also enterprise channels like VARs and distributors. So we want to make sure we have an ability for everybody to be successful in the marketplace. The second thing is that we've been focused for quite some time at BroadSoft working on how to really make it easier for these solutions to be sold. How can we help our partners with more digital content, with marketing, really kind of making it easier to sell the products, simplifying the messaging, really important part of it, trying to take a lot of the tech buzz, and also working on the second part, which is how do we make the solutions easier to buy. And obviously you heard this morning Rowan talking a lot about Flex, with really the key element there is you buy something once, and really once you're in the cloud, we're kind of taking care of really enhancing that capability, keeping it current, and adding the new feature functionality. Tom mentioned a little bit about what we call flexible and graceful evolution. Clearly, all of our customers are on a journey from premise to cloud, or cloud to cloud, or hybrids. Lots of complexity. Our customers are struggling with that. We need to kind of really make it easy for them to evolve from where they are. We basically allow them to kind of jump on our path anywhere they are in the journey and kind of get to cloud. This is kind of our objective. And the last thing, which is a really key element for us, and you heard about it on the video side from Jonathan this morning, we've been very focused on it from a BroadSoft perspective in BroadCloud, is really building a global platform for calling, which is really around security, reliability. We started our business servicing service providers, which all worry about 5 nines reliability. It's a really high standard to meet, and we deliver 5 nines reliability out of our cloud. It's a really important attribute is when you pick up the phone, even though Tom made fun of dial tone, we like to hear dial tone means the network is up and running, and we're all happy, and we're really good on reliability. So an important part, kind of the 4 key priorities that we're kind of driving the calling portfolio. When you look at the current portfolio, I want to talk a little bit about the positioning today, and then I'll talk a little bit about where we're going. We have a number of different products in the portfolio. Talk a little bit about the positioning. Many of you know about HCS. As of 2 weeks ago, I own HCS. It's kind of a strange thing when you compete with something for 20 years, then you've got to own it. But really, HCS is really well positioned in enterprises that are making a migration from premise to cloud, from call manager to HCS. Really great, obviously transparent from the user experience, devices, applications, all kind of move very easily into HCS. That's been brought to market, primarily Cisco branded, some and through the service provider channel. You look at BroadSoft, what we call UC1, our go-to-market branding. Really, we started the business in the SMB and mid-market. We're typically bundled in the service provider business with access or mobility. It's always service provider branded, so the BroadSoft brand is somewhat hidden, and it's always through the service provider channel. So that's kind of our current and continuing go-to-market for our BroadSoft UC1 service providers. And then Cisco had launched about a year ago, a little over a year ago, something called Smart Calling, which is now obviously WebEx calling, very targeted to this small end of the North American market. It was Cisco branded, sold through either VARs or the service provider channel, and that's the third, if you like, of the products in the portfolio. So where is the portfolio going? And actually, when we did this slide, we actually decided to come back and say, okay, let's really position premise on this continuum of calling platforms. And the first thing we want to do is, from our cloud infrastructure, allow enterprises and businesses to actually integrate their calling platforms through some trunking, for example, bring those call managers into a global network for dialing and enhanced services that we can deliver out of the BroadCloud infrastructure. Okay. The second thing is we're looking at how do we evolve the HCS infrastructures that exist at carriers, and how do we kind of align that into a single calling strategy. And frankly, we're still really early in that process, but some of the areas that we really want to kind of take advantage of the BroadCloud infrastructure is things like mobile integration, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation. Things like international dialing and number plans and enterprise networking, where the BroadSoft infrastructure really shines, and we can add that capability to HCS. And then let HCS do really what it does really well, which is move premise call managers to the cloud. What's exciting on the BroadSoft UC1 path is we're continuing to deliver what we call the UC1 experience, the UC1 app, through our service providers. For those not familiar, that UC1 app is always branded by a service provider, so you see some service provider branding. If you go in the App Store, you might see about 20 or 30 different versions with some carrier name ahead of it. And what we're doing is we're taking advantage in the cloud of a lot of the innovation you saw this morning that exists in the Cisco, both messaging and video conferencing and meetings infrastructure, and we're going to slowly integrate that under the UC1 user experience. So as a service provider, end user customer, and our service provider customers that have really trained their customers on this user experience, those 20 million subscribers that are out there. Again, like Rowan talked about, that kind of behind-the-scenes upgrade of new capabilities and technology. That's what we're planning for UC1. It'll kind of evolve very quickly. And then finally, the Cisco WebEx calling will evolve and basically inherit the BroadCloud capabilities of enterprise networking and what we call the hosted PBX functions. And we're still working the details and timing of that last transition. So the idea is one cloud infrastructure, global, reliable, and be able to serve a number of markets. The kind of brandable service provider market with a unique user experience, and a Cisco branded experience for our resellers and VARs. So that's kind of our technology strategy roadmap that we're working on. Let me talk a little bit about the channels and how we're going to go to market with these technologies. So the first one is the service providers. We've been very clear with our service provider customers. We're operating in 80 plus markets with the largest incumbents in these countries. These service providers don't like a lot of change, and so we've made it very clear that they can continue to purchase the way they've purchased. A number of them, a lot of those customers are buying software, what we call software on-prem, but kind of in their network, and then creating a cloud offer, cloud calling offer. Some are using our BroadCloud infrastructure, where we run it for them, and then some are in actually a hybrid state, where they're running part of it in their network and part of them in the cloud. Okay, and what we've been doing since last November, when we do the Connections Conference, our conference, we've been recommending to our service providers to move to a hybrid or cloud architecture, take advantage of all of the innovations on meetings and messaging and sharing, etc. And the same rationale that you saw this morning for the WebEx meetings and Teams is the beauty of that is all the latest feature functionality gets delivered quickly. And what we've suffered in the traditional service provider world is very long upgrade cycles, so innovations take 2 to 3 years to get to market, and so this was an important part. And the last element, which is really not technical but really commercial, is we're working to put these BroadCloud offers for service providers into our into flex options. And really the important part of that is that the Cisco enterprise sellers would be motivated and compensated for bringing deals into the service provider offers. So that's kind of when we look at the service providers, that's their strategy. Then you, as they're going, really kind of move them along from a technology standpoint and getting the latest capabilities from the meetings and collaboration, and then enhancing that with Flex. And then if you look at the enterprise partners, we're basically saying right now what they're doing, the current state is continue to sell WebEx calling or sell Flex licenses. And Flex licenses allows the end user to buy a Flex license, and at a later date can move that anywhere they want. They can run it on-prem, they can run it on cloud, continue to do that. And we're looking at when we would be able to bring the full BroadCloud capabilities into the WebEx calling. We're also looking at, which is kind of interesting when you'll see kind of the value of the service provider integrations around mobility. We're also exploring how end customers can buy really kind of a combination of service provider calling with and mobile integration, those kind of things, with Cisco WebEx Teams and meetings. So really bring these two together through the customer. So kind of have some mix and match options for our distribution partners. And obviously, these solutions will be all part of the same Flex arrangements. So I want to end, talk a little bit about two interesting changes and things that we're doing that I think are really game changers for our customers. And they kind of span different market segments. The first one I want to talk about is mobility. Really the desire to move all of this capabilities onto a mobile device for users is pretty critical in the small market all the way to the medium market, where very small teams, they're all mobile, they may not have any hard phones, they may never have a place to put a hard phone, they need that mobile experience, or they're on the road a lot and they need both a hard phone and a mobile experience. So we'll talk a little bit about our experiences around mobility. And the second area where I think we have a really significant competitive advantage is around smooth migration. We now own devices, we own premise PBXs, we own cloud, we own all the variations, and we can really help our customers make that transition. So I'll talk about those too. So the first thing is the mobile-first experience. At BroadSoft, we've been working with mobile operators for a number of years. See a few at the bottom that have been working on basically putting your PBX functions on a mobile device. And that's kind of sometimes hard to understand, but the idea is have one number, desk and mobile. You want your PBX features on a smartphone. You don't want to have to rely on very sophisticated apps. You want to have native dialers, but you also want to have the ability to have personal and business personas, so different numbers for different things. And this is really kind of one of the big advantages that service providers have in cloud calling is the ability to integrate with their mobile assets. And so other players don't have this capability. So with that, what I wanted to do was wanted to show a video of Telstra and their product called Liberate. Telstra has been a long-time partner of BroadSoft, probably 15 years, and they've been very innovative in terms of how they go to market. And this video kind of really nicely explains kind of an end-user view of what does mobile-first experience look like.
The way we work is changing. People want to tie to their phones are embracing new ways of working that demand more from their mobile devices. But the crossover from desk phone to mobile hasn't always been seamless. Until now. Introducing Liberate. Most people are now using their mobiles, and users are generally shifting towards mobiles as their main means of communication. And that means their personal brand is being presented when they make a call to their customers, for instance. We can solve the problem of the loss of corporate brand or corporate identity and put the fixed number back onto the mobile device to give you the best of both worlds. It gives the employee what they want, so they can use any device, anytime, anywhere. For the business, it means we put their corporate brand and identity back on the mobile. We've essentially got a personal life and a business life switch on there. It's the small things that make the biggest difference. One number and simultaneous multi-device ring lets you pick up on the nearest phone. Liberate seamlessly integrates mobiles and desk phones to improve how your people work together and respond to customers. And when your business needs to handle larger volumes of calls, they can now be answered by any one of your team, no matter where they are. Bringing the best of the desk phone to your mobile. An office-like experience when you're mobile. Having one voicemail account means that all your messages are saved and accessed in one place. No matter what industry your business is in, or whether your business is big or small, Liberate frees your people from their desks and empowers them to do more.
So I hope that helps explain kind of the end-user experience for kind of a mobile-first experience. Oops, go back. Mobile-first experience. And if anybody's interested, the star of that video is actually here, Paul Carpenter. He's a great guy at Telstra. And Tom, I promise there'll be Cisco phones in the video next year. Lots of grief, guys, lots of grief, but okay. Anyways, the last thing is, Tom mentioned this, and we're looking at how we can really focus and create really a seamless, simple set of transition, roadmaps, technology tools, really help our customers transition from premise to cloud. It's obviously easy in a real small SMB to kind of do a rip and replace. Pretty complicated as we get to larger accounts to really do that. One of the things we've seen when we've done large enterprise rollouts is they can kind of languish for long periods of time. The enterprises don't get any real value through that period. So we're really focusing on what Tom called the transition zone. How can we help the enterprises really kind of move from premise to cloud, or if they're stuck in that hybrid mode, how do we get them further along? And clearly looking at situations, unique situations, branch offices, new sites, international locations, all kinds of things that we're looking at. How do we kind of integrate into that? How do we maintain the in-place estate? We don't have to rip and replace. We can either grow the customer in a commercial way and make sure that they have a kind of a safe transition to cloud with licensing or with cloud. And obviously, all of the great stuff you saw this morning around meetings and collaboration and care and mobility, all those things get added to what I've been focusing on here, which is the calling portfolio. So that's just kind of two of the, I think, really unique advantages I think that Cisco has in the marketplace. One with the service providers around mobility, and one with really leveraging our unique estate to kind of help the customers move from premise to cloud. And let me wrap up my section, and then I'll ask Tom to join us back. It's been a really exciting year for BroadCloud. One of the things we started a few years ago, moving our own transformation from delivering capabilities from software to cloud. We've now expanded from 9 to 12 countries by the end of 2018. One of the exciting things that we launched recently is what we call multinational branch support. So one of this really amazing capability of going into our systems and ordering seats from numerous countries and fulfilling kind of automatically through one capability. And so the first one we did, the first beta, we tried to go crazy. We did France, Australia, New Zealand, and we turned up seats in all 3 countries in one order flow. So pretty exciting capabilities. One of the biggest problems we've seen our customers have, enterprise customers in transforming the cloud, is actually just simply logistics, getting this thing cut over and moved. We launched just in November something called UC1 SaaS, or sometimes I call hybrid cloud, the idea of having call control in the carrier network and all of the enhanced capabilities in the cloud. And we now have that available in 15 countries. And that really allows the service provider customers to have mobile integration, for example, in the video that you saw from Telstra, but also then have all the value-added meetings, messaging, collaboration, clients, user experiences spun out of our cloud so that they can stay very current with capabilities. And obviously we've had lots of interest in BroadCloud, tripled the channels to 148 channels in all of those countries. And as you can imagine, one of the challenges we have with BroadCloud was we're really running local operations in all those countries. So we have local support, local interconnect, local TAC, local help desk, and languages and currencies and so on. So pretty significant expansion of BroadCloud in a very short period of time. So with that, let me call Tom back up.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. You hold the clicker, man. You hold So real quick, because I want to get to some Q&A. Hopefully you realize that the BroadSoft Cisco offer is better together from us. From the onset of initially discussing it as a partnership to the acquisition, it's been really smooth from a Cisco perspective. Hopefully Mike will agree. We'll find out here in a minute. We continue to deliver innovative calling experiences. We're really focused on that. Unrivaled flexibility, whether it's a deployment model or a buying offer. Smooth transition, whether you're on-prem moving to the cloud. And then lastly, we want to continue to enhance how people are going to work and really support that. So with that, I think I got some questions here, Mike.
You got some answers. Or is this my Chinese menu?
All right.
We have so many meetings we have to be
We have some
careful.
questions. There's a few questions we think all of you are dying to ask, and if you don't ask them, I'm going to ask Mike. So we'll start with that. You ready?
Gotcha.
Okay. Mike, so we've got a lot of questions from not just analysts, but also partners and customers. They want to have some clarity around our position of various cloud solutions. Yes.
You know, I had a lot of questions about our commitment to premise. What about that tonight?
Touche. All right, so let me cover on-prem real quick. I want to make sure you guys understand how committed we are to the prem. So call manager, and I just told this to all the partners before I walked in here, and I will tell this to the customers.
Communication manager?
What's that?
Isn't it communication manager?
Call manager, communication manager. I can't get out of the 90s, Sheila. I'm sorry. Communications manager. Well, it's hard to verb to get out of your lingo too.
Yeah.
And I've got a customer session right after this, and we'll tell them the exact same thing. Communication Manager 12.5 releases in the fall. And because we're superstitious, 14 will release about 18 months after that. So we'll continue to deliver great experiences, because even though there's a lot of greatness coming from the cloud, not everybody can get there right now. So we want to make sure we support our partners and our customers. So that, from an on-prem perspective, we have a lot of focus there. Real quick, before I transition, I know we're on the timeline here. That same message continues forward with our contact center offer. So whether it's an express offer or an enterprise offer, that roadmap will continue. That move from on-prem to cloud is slower in some organizations in size and scope, and faster in others. So we'll continue to support customers.
Okay.
My turn again?
You sure?
All right. Mike.
Yep.
You're responsible for HCS now, you so. Yeah, put it. Literally, it's like a week and a half ago. I was like, hey, you're cloud calling guy. Guess what? There's been a lot of questions, probably forthcoming, about the positioning of HCS and BroadSoft products. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think what we've been talking to customers. I think what's become interesting is that there's a unique set of advantages that HCS has, and what we're trying to do is kind of take advantage of those capabilities and the smooth transition from premise to cloud. And what we're really trying to do, and we're having those conversations, is there's a lot of customers on HCS, a lot of end users. We're committed to keep that going. But we really want to figure out how do we enhance it, and how do we kind of bring the portfolio together. So we don't have all the answers with regards to that integration. We're meeting just yesterday with customers and trying to understand where are they been using HCS, where is it falling down, where are the enhancements. And a lot of the customers have both platforms, so they ask us those questions. Okay, which one do I go here, which one do I go there? And I think it's going to be a little bit dependent on the market segmentation of the service provider, their strategy, they're going forward. And so I'm not sure it's going to be a one-size answer, but I think we really definitely want to be able to integrate it into a single strategy. And I think there's interesting capabilities in the BroadCloud infrastructure that we can integrate into the HCS. Things like, so for example, the Telstra Liberate, we're already talking to Telstra about potentially integrating with HCS and giving that mobile integration to HCS.
Yes. So big one for us. Us or...
Yeah, I'm going to actually take over here, so sorry guys. We wanted to actually make sure that you guys as analysts, consultants, media, etc., you guys get an opportunity to ask some questions too. So I see Mr. Banty. Mark, you want to... we only have 10 minutes per question, so we have to keep it relatively tight.
Tim or Jim, I mean, how do you pick up that credit, right? All right, Tim, you're up first, man.
Hi, could you tell me what's happening with BroadSoft Meet and BroadSoft Team 1? And then the other question would be, you joked about there's a Polycom VVX in the video. Do you still intend to support third-party SIP phones, or are you going to go with Cisco all the way?
You take the first one, I want the second one.
All right, so as I described before, the plan for UC1 and the underlying technologies need and kind of team collaboration, they're there today. They will evolve, so Meet will eventually go away, and will be replaced by some Cisco technology. We don't have a date for that, and the way we're doing that integration which we've agreed to, what I said is that user experience stays the same, and really, in fact, a lot of people don't know the story is that, if you had a previous version of BroadSoft software doing video, we actually moved to BroadSoft Meet transparently. Nobody actually knew that. We'll actually transform to some WebEx technology. Again, it will be WebEx technology embedded. It will not be experience. It won't be the same experience. It'll be under the UC umbrella. And that is a similar situation with T1. We're looking to sunset T1 and really make the Spark, it was Spark or WebEx Teams. I don't know, they might stunned at me. I just learned them and I have to unlearn them. WebEx Teams messaging infrastructure underneath UC1. Now, one of the other advantages of that, which one of the reasons why we're going to put that on the roadmap, again, nothing goes away immediately, it's going to take a little bit of time, is that if you saw Jonathan's demo around kind of the idea that everybody gets one user ID, well, the other thing about that is, the cool thing about WebEx Teams is that you kind of have global federation just by the nature that anybody can be anywhere and anybody can join for free. So the nice thing about that is when we bundle that messaging into UC1, all the UC1 20 million users will actually federate with everybody else on WebEx Teams. So it's actually a very nice enhancement for that capability. So that's the strategy. But yeah, there's no reason to continue doing BroadSoft Meet when you join a video conferencing company like Cisco. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, again, it's
so Tim, to answer that, are we going to continue to support third-party interface? This was something Mike and I discussed for 30 seconds, and the answer is we have to continue to support all the open APIs that BroadSoft has. There's customers, partners, and SPs that have built whole solutions around that space. So we Cisco would be not real bright if we tamper with that. So that will continue forward. Now, that being said, I love competition. I'm a competitor. So it's my job to do a better job than the third-party endpoint. So you'll see really cool things coming down the pipe, like WebEx Teams, direct dial through a BroadCloud connected endpoint, for example. So some really, really innovative things. So I want to provide the customer better offer than everybody else. But that will continue forward, so much so that we signed agreements with all the major brands for a continued 7-year open standard for them. So unlike our competition, we believe in an open environment, fair competition.
This will be a real easy question. Are you going to have a white label HCS?
We don't have a white label HCS. There already is technically a white label HCS offer in the market.
I'm not I only own it a week, so excuse me. Are you talking about like Jabber?
No.
Which UX?
Platform that could be used by a service provider.
Oh, so we would host it.
I know you've had it in the past.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a question whether it's going to continue.
We have had a white label HCS offer for a few select customers that demand it, but it's not an offer that we lead with. We really prefer SPs to drive that into the market. They're much better at it. They've got the scale and staffing experience, and we don't want to butt heads with our SP friends. They're key to us. But there are a couple of customers that are pretty demanding that are like, you do it. All right, so reluctantly, we staff it with some professional services. 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
All right, so I have so to follow up to Tim's question, right, around the competitiveness. So I understand you're keeping it open, and you are a competitive guy. You like to share. So outside of building differentiated features, have you thought about what kind of financial incentive packages you would use to incent, or a strong arm, the incentive the service providers to maybe, with bundles and things like that might come out economically more viable for them using a third party?
A great question, great leading question. It's a very dangerous answer. My answer is I think that's an area yet to be discovered and fully discussed. We have, on the hardware side, for example, IP endpoints and headsets. Those are a natural fit to offer a bundled package. And today, most providers lose money or break even on endpoints. When you bundle in a headset, they can start having more margin to play with as they sell those offers. Bundling hardware with software is something that we've discussed, but I don't think we've gotten real serious with it yet, because I think there's other implications there.
So I think you already mentioned a little bit about how many of your, well, the vast majority of your service provider partners have essentially been buying perpetual licenses from yourselves. You know, whatever you might want to do about moving into more of an OpEx model, those service providers are pretty slow. You know, they spend a lot of time building offers. How much of a challenge is it actually going to be to get all of those service providers up on board with the ability to layer some of the WebEx team capability? I mean, and also, you know, I'm thinking as well, the fact that in an ideal world, they'd all be using BroadCloud, you'd be getting OpEx revenue from that, probably like you should be getting from HDS from the service providers. But that's not been the case, and many of them have been buying like 3-year site licenses, particularly the big ones. That's, I mean, is it just the maintenance revenue you can pull from them in the short term, which is quite lucrative for you as well?
Sure. So so let me first cover the how do we get the SPs to transition. One of the things that this is one of the reasons why we introduced last November this hybrid model. A lot of the carriers have not they have a lot of investment in on the calling side, the PBX functions, you know, fully integrated. That's where they're buying perpetual licenses. What we did is we introduced this hybrid model, which actually is extremely light. And you know, we did our first beta in November. We turned up a pretty decent sized customer in a couple of weeks. So it was very fast. We've got some provisioning tricks that we've done to make it extremely light, to bring all of the meetings and messaging and the user experiences from our cloud. So that hybrid model will allow us to move pretty quickly. And I think that's kind of the path for the big guys who are going to stay on perpetual for BroadWorks and then go to a cloud one. Now, once they do that, they're in hybrid, they'll get all the advantages. And one reason why hybrid's important is that's when we start injecting the WebEx technology and the WebEx Teams technology. So that actually is very light on-ramp. Like I said, we did one in 2 weeks pretty quickly. And that's what most of the big SPs are looking at now as we move hybrid. The other thing I'd say in terms of transition to BroadCloud, a lot of customers that have been premise software, perpetual license buyers, what they do is they typically look at, hey, well, I want to go into a new segment, I built an SMB, I want to go into mid-market, then they'll use us for cloud, full cloud. And so sometimes it's not a one-to-one replacement, it's a market expansion. They want to do a mobile offer, they'll go one way or the other. So that's kind of the way it phases in. It does, service providers take time. It's just the way it's the rhythm I know well.
Actually, 1 second, the very final bit about you've got a retail offer, Playstyle Germany.
Yes.
The future of.
Still there, still running.
Not for sale.
Not for sale.
Not for sale.
Not for sale. No. It's sorry, no rumors. It's not all the rumors. No rumors. Yeah. I think eventually. Part of what we learned with that, just going to be very frank, is we learned a lot about selling digitally, which is really valuable for us, and a lot of that learnings we actually share with our service provider partners about how to really sell in a digital way. So it's an extreme. Although you'd say it's competitive, it's a small business, but we learn a lot about selling online, training online. We last year turned up a few hundred resellers completely digitally. We trained them. So there's a lot of learning through that experiment in Germany. So there's no plans to make any change to that.
Great. We are out of time here, and I know both Mike and Tom have commitments as part of other tracks. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for your questions. We'll see you in the next 24.
They'll be around the next 2 days, so if you have questions, you can always pin them down at dinner or somewhere else. So the next session that we have is Scared of the Cloud with Mr. Jonathan Rosenberg. There he is, the man of the hour. So Jonathan's going to lead a session on Scared of the Cloud. It'll be about 20 minutes presentation and about 10 minutes Q&A. And he's going to get mic'd up and we'll get going.
Ciao, Maria. ¿De qué hora? ¿No? ¿Están las chicas de la prensa? Ahí está una, ¿no?
So we're heading back up.
Está por ahí viene, ahí viene. Sorry? ¿Qué dijo? Las 4. ¿Qué hora es? So, ¿dónde estamos acá? Media hora es poco tiempo.
45.
Sí, pero arriba en el...
Creo que sí.
No,